Thinkware U1000 and the VIOFO A129 4K. I'm Ben from Safe Drive Solutions, your dash cam specialist. Today we're going to compare these two 4K dash cameras, and we're going to go over all the different specs, which will also follow with video comparisons. Anyways, let's go. So first things first, dash cam resolution. The VIOFO A129 4K is front 4K 8 megapixel Sony Exmor R image sensor. The rear camera is only 1080p Sony Starvis image sensor. Now, when we compare this to the Thinkware U1000, the Thinkware U1000 is using a 4K 8 megapixel Sony Starvis image sensor, and the rear is a 2K 1440p Sony Starvis image sensor. Please note that both front cameras you can also change to 2K or 1440p 60 frames per second for a little bit more detailed information. Often people get hung up on how big a dash camera actually is. So when we're actually looking at them, they're actually not that big at all. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be a big, bulky camera that you have at home that you would take pictures like at a wedding or something, but they're actually a lot smaller than that. But when we want to compare the size between these two units, you can see here's the Thinkware U1000 right here, and here's the VIOFO. When you compare them side by side, you can see the VIOFO is actually smaller and even has an LCD screen. When we go to the thickness, they're both very similar in thickness to each other, but the Thinkware is definitely longer. And when we go by width, as you can see, the Thinkware is a little bit wider. Viewing angle of these two dash cameras. The viewing angle of the A129 has a front viewing angle of 130 degrees. The rear camera offers a 140 degree wide viewing angle. Now in comparison, when you look at the Thinkware U1000, you get a lot more wider viewing angle. So you're actually going to get 150 degrees out of the front camera and 156 degrees out of the rear camera, which allows for a little bit more coverage. Both these cameras have Wi-Fi capability, which allows you to use an app to pair your phone directly to them in order to download videos. The other thing they both have is dual band Wi-Fi, which means you can select 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. I do recommend selecting 5 gigahertz because you will be able to download videos 3 to 4 times faster than in the 2 gigahertz mode. SD card capacity. The VIOFO will support up to a 256 gigabyte SD card, while the Thinkware will only support up to a 128 gigabyte card. Because these are both 4K cameras, they can be very finicky as well. So I don't recommend buying a cheap SD card, otherwise you will have problems due to the resolution. Now, let's take this into account. The Thinkware dash camera comes with a 32 gigabyte SD card, and when we go by the specs on Thinkware's website, you're going to get approximately 65 minutes of continuous record time. When we upgrade to a 128 gigabyte SD card, you will get approximately 4.5 hours on that Thinkware camera. While with a VIOFO, if you get a 256 gigabyte SD card, because that's what it will support, you can get approximately 10 hours of continuous record time. GPS information. The VIOFO will give you speed and location data of where the video was recorded. The Thinkware, with the GPS, you will actually get the option of red light and speed camera notifications, as well as speed and location of where the video was recorded. Now, keep that in mind that you can also turn off the GPS speed for both the Thinkware and VIOFO dash cams in case you got a heavy foot. Parking mode. So, the VIOFO A129 has 3 different parking modes, and that requires you to get the parking mode cable. Now, it has auto event detection, which automatically will record when detecting moving objects or impact while the car is parked. It also has the option of time lapse. Video is recorded at a low frame rate per second. It gives you the option of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 frames per second in this mode. Low bitrate recording. You can record in a lower resolution than the 4K that it comes with to save space while recording. I don't recommend doing a low bitrate recording, but the choice is yours. You can also change all of these settings through the LCD screen or the Wi-Fi app. On with the Thinkware U1000. The Thinkware U1000 has motion detection, which means anytime somebody walks nearby, drives nearby, it'll wake up and record any motion. Time lapse. Their time lapse, however, only records at 2 frames per second. 3, they have energy saving mode. Energy saving mode is actually quite significant on the Thinkware U1000 because it actually draws the least amount of current out of all the parking modes I have tested on other dash cameras. It draws as low as 10 milliamps, which is next to nothing. It's been tested to work up to 21 days in this mode on some vehicles. Now, keep this in mind, the way that works is if somebody was to make an impact to your vehicle, 1 second after impact, it'll wake up and start recording. So it's not getting the initial impact, which is why it's also very reserved in its energy saving mode. But at the same time, it will typically get like the vehicle driving away or the person getting out of the vehicle. So it is going to get a lot of that information. Now, there is an advanced energy saving mode where you can get the radar module. A lot of people get confused and think that this is for detecting radar or police, and it's actually not for that at all. This is also an extra part, and depending where you're located, will cost upwards of $100 for that part. What it basically does is while in advanced energy saving mode, if it senses a vehicle coming near you, it'll wake up and start recording. Now, if there's no impact to your vehicle at all, what it will do is it will actually go back to sleep and delete that recording. So this is actually also very low current draw as well, but not as low as the normal energy saving mode. The difference is with the radar module, if somebody actually did end up making impact to you, it would actually get the full impact. And it's not taking up space on your memory card like the normal motion detection would. Parking mode cables. So the VIOFO is typically power, ground, and ignition need to be hooked up. Now the main difference is it has a little selector switch on the side of the parking mode cable where you can actually select the low battery protection cutoff, where if it drops below that voltage, the dash camera will shut off. Now the downside of this cable is that selector switch typically is going to get hidden underneath the dash. So it's a little bit harder to get access to it. Now with the Thinkware, it's a power, ground, ignition, but you can also select the low battery protection digitally through the Wi-Fi app. Video length recording. Now, with the VIOFO, it has flexible options of 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10-minute video recording times. So what that means is it'll record up to 10 minutes and then record another 10-minute video and then another 10-minute video. So as it goes around the loop and fills up your SD card, then it'll just delete an old 10-minute file and then record a new 10-minute file. Now, some people like this if they're going like on long drives and they want to have a really long video to share with the family. However, Thinkware uses a 1-minute continuous video record time. That is their main focus. And typically, if you are worried more about car accidents, the insurance company only really wants to have maybe maximum a 20-second video sent to them. So just keep that in mind when you are thinking about going to a 5 or 10 minute long video. You are going to have to edit and cut that down with your phone or with some sort of video software before you submit that to the insurance company. File list organization. Now, the VIOFO has all files, locked files, and parking files. Pretty straightforward. All files are going to be going into the main video screen when you're looking on your phone. The locked files are going to be files that are protected, and parking files are going to be parking recordings. Now, the Thinkware uses 5 different video storages. So they use the continuous recording, which means that's while you're driving, continuous incident, which means there was an impact while driving, motion detection. If you have that turned on in parking mode, that's where those videos will go. Parking incident, which means you got hit while parked, and then manual recording. That is how they organize it. LCD screen. The VIOFO has an LCD screen which allows you to go through the menus of the dashcam and change the settings. So if you're not too tech savvy, this would be a good choice for you. The Thinkware, you can change the settings only through the Wi-Fi mobile app. Voice recording. Both units have the capability of turning voice recording on or off. Quite easily, you can just go into the menu and turn that setting off. Hopefully that's given you a lot of really good information between the VIOFO A129 Pro 4K and the Thinkware U1000. I think whatever choice you make, they're both very good dash cameras. I don't think they're going to disappoint you at all. All I know is when I started this video, it was warm outside. Now it's cold, so I got to wear a toque. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you do have any questions and all, feel free to leave comments down below. We're happy to answer them. Cheers.